Okay, I was thinking about my generation and our unique relationship with technology. So I am 41 years old, which makes me, I guess, a millennial. I'm an elder millennial, or I think they call us exennials, because we have some experiences shared with Gen X, and we have some experiences shared with millennials, but we're not like really one or the other. So I think about my generation a lot and my perspective. I guess that's because this is where I'm at. This is the generation I'm part of, so it's like my first person perspective. But in particular, technology, I think about that relationship quite a bit. So, I don't know. I think I'm just pretty much like a person that that gravitates towards technology. I think it's really, I don't know, it fascinates me. Like, I can think about and appreciate what these tools can do with what they are. Like, I don't know, it's pretty dang incredible to me, to be honest, that we can turn electricity into, and I don't know how it works. Like, I don't know exactly what's happening from point A to point B, but I know that you have electricity and you can turn that into information on a screen. Like, there's a lot in between, but something is happening between like the processor and the RAM and your data connection, and not to mention you can send information through the air. Like, you don't have to have wires. Like, that is something that somebody from my generation, I think, is I don't know, maybe it's just me, completely like blown away with. Yeah, it's just something I'm thinking about. My phone that I use is a iPhone. I think it's an iPhone 14 Pro, but I don't know. I got it brand new. The phone I had before this was an iPhone 11 Pro. I ended up giving that to my son. He lost it, but that phone I felt was, good enough for me. It only had 64 gigabytes of storage space, which in today's technology landscape, is nowhere near enough storage space if you're taking pictures, if you're, downloading, videos or music or whatever, which most of the time we're streaming, but like sometimes I would download music if I'm going off grid a little bit. Anyways, I digress. But this phone is a 256 gigabyte. I got the mid-tier model. And it's fantastic. It's a couple years old. Takes great pictures. The battery life is not amazing, but it's great. So, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. But anyways, I'm just in awe of the technology that we have, and thinking about like where we came from. Because as an elder millennial, I remember the time in our houses when we did not have computers. At least my house didn't. A lot of people had computers in their house, from the mid 80s on, but my house did not have a computer until, I want to say the year was like 1996 or 1997. My dad got well, I think it was more so for his like office, because he had an office, he had his own business, but we had it in our house for a little bit. Now I'm trying to like remember, like, was that computer actually in our house? It might not have been. But the first computer I remember like playing around with that my dad bought was a Packard Bell. And it had this really neat design that the monitor had this like curving sort of design where the speakers came off to the side. They were attached to the monitor. And it had a tower. So that's what those things were called. That were not, that's what your computer was, that, stood upright. It was a tower, called it a tower. Had a CD-ROM, which, was pretty incredible. Just like the mechanical tray coming out as a kid, I'm like, this is so cool. We had the Encarta discs. Encarta was a encyclopedia that you can throw in, and I remember I think there was like a video of the space shuttle launching. You can look up different things within the encyclopedia, and that drew a connection to when I was even younger, looking through the encyclopedia volumes in my library at my school or my grandpa's house. My grandpa had encyclopedia libraries, and instead of having to pull the book off the shelf and look up whatever it was, you could just pop in a disc and it was there. So I don't know, it's just like very it's an appreciation and I guess appreciation of how technology, how information has changed, and we saw that transition happening right in front of our eyes, from phones to computers, and now to really amazing computers that we have in our hands. I don't know. That was just my little thought for today. That I think a lot of us, especially maybe the younger generations, take for granted. Like, we have high-speed internet coming to us basically wherever we want. You can make a phone call whenever you want. You can access any piece of information. Maybe not any, but like a lot of information in your hands. So it's really neat. But now, as I have this appreciation, and computers are everywhere, phones are everywhere, the internet is everywhere, I am kind of going back and looking back at these old books. My wife picked me up this book that I'm looking at and kind of checking out. It's called New Mexico Place Names. It's from the University of New Mexico Press. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, the University of New Mexico Press. And it was published in 1965. It says here, reprinted 1975 with corrections. But essentially this book goes into all of the different cities and place names in New Mexico and gives you a little blurb of the history behind it. So, I don't know. I don't know if I could find this online. I don't know if I could find it. Like, this information is so, like, obscure. I'm sure there's something maybe online, but like, this I think is just like a little gem. So I'm kind of going backwards a little bit. Like, books should never be obsolete. Even if you're reading them on your tablet or your phone. So anyways, that's all I've got for today. Enjoy your week.